We started our morning at like 5 a.m. Cove had no idea what she was in for with us leaving, but she very sleepily watched us get ready to go. And then we boarded the train to Chicago. Once we got there, we paid to leave our bags at Union Station, which is usually what we do before a flight so we can explore a bit. I always regret it though because my backpack's heavy and I wish I had my suitcase to roll it on. And then we went back to Union Station and got our tickets for the metro to take to the airport after picking up our luggage. Had some wine at the airport and then boarded TAP Air to Portugal because that'll be our first layover on the way to London. Josh got this meat thing and I got the pasta. I always get the pasta. It was fine. And then we landed in Lisbon for a few hours for a layover. This is my first time in Portugal. Josh has been before. Once we got there, it was really hot and I really regretted having a sweater and jeans on. Stopped into the infamous sardine store and had a Coke, a warm Coke. And then we boarded our flight to London. On the way back to the US after this trip, we're going to do 24 hours in Lisbon because it's actually cheaper if you book a 24-hour layover and then you can use that save money on hotels. So we're doing that. Then we got over London. There's the bridge and London. And then when we landed, we went through security and Josh's mom was waiting for us with some coffee, which was much needed. And we headed over to his house. I immediately unpacked because I just didn't want to live out of a suitcase. Watched some Gogglebox, had some tea. And then the next day we walked into his town. I got a Club Pret subscription because it's £15 for your first month and it's like 4 coffees a day. Then we went to a pub with his mom and stepdad and their dog and got some drinks and then went and got some fish and chips to go. Of course, I got a Dr. Pepper. It's not so good there, but it's fine. I'm getting used to it. And then we went to his house and had our fish and chips, some mushy peas and curry sauce, of course, and watched Great British Bake Off. And then we had one day before we had to go to Northern Ireland, so we went into central London. I started off with a Pret, of course, the first of the day. And then we went to St. James's Park, which is my favorite park in all of London. I'm really excited when we start traveling full time to spend a little bit of time in London and take Cove here. I think she's going to absolutely freak out with the amount of birds that are in St. James's Park. And it's also just the prettiest one to walk around, in my opinion. From there, we headed to the National Portrait Gallery, where we were going to the Paul McCartney exhibit. I had never been in this museum before, so it was pretty cool. Before our time slot, we walked around and just looked at all the other portraits and paintings. I'm a huge Princess Diana fan, so I was very excited to see this one in there. And then it was our time slot for the exhibit. It was really cool seeing some of his old film photos. Josh and I are really interested in film, so we got some inspiration in there for our travels. And then I got Pret number 2 and we went to Liberty literally just to get face wash because I needed face wash and because I love Liberty, so why not? I also got Pret number 3, Josh got a Pret, and then we went home and packed for Northern Ireland. We are flying into Belfast with Josh's friend and his girlfriend, and then we're going to drive to Enniskillen for a wedding that we're going to, and then on the way back, we'll have a few days in Belfast. We're staying at the Loch Earn Resort, and then we went into Enniskillen to go to a pub for the evening, and we came back and just walked around, went to the restaurant in the resort, and then we walked back home to sleep because tomorrow is the wedding. So far, it's been nice weather, but I think it's supposed to be a bit rainy and windy tomorrow, so we'll see what it's like. In the morning, we had some beans on toast because they're Englishmen doing the cooking. And when I got ready for the wedding, the only outlet was in the hallway, so I just kind of figured this out. Josh found this Starbucks to go, which I've never seen before, and it was actually really good at the grocery store. This is the view from our hotel / apartment, I guess. This was the church where the wedding was, and then after the wedding, we went to the reception at the resort. I started off the night strong by dropping my champagne with raspberry in it on the ground when we went outside to take photos. And then they did an intro to the bride and the groom with ABBA playing, and we had dinner and dessert, and then just spent the rest of the night drinking and dancing and having fun. The next day, they rented out a pub in the literal middle of nowhere. And I had my first official Guinness, not in America, and my first of many. Never thought I'd hear John Denver in Northern Ireland, but here we are. We went for one final drink in the hotel and then walk / some road back to our rooms. And the next morning we walked around the grounds just to see everything, and then we headed to Belfast. Since we don't have cell phone service here, we had to find Wi-Fi because we got locked out of the Airbnb when we first arrived. Made it in, and then we walked around the city for a bit and then found an Italian place because I have to get pasta everywhere I go. So we had some pasta, and then we walked around a bit more, and then we didn't know what to do. We found this grocery store, and Josh was pointing out all of the chocolates that he wanted. And then we decided last minute to take this bus tour around the coast for like 8 hours. Highly recommend. This is my first time doing a guided bus tour like this, and it was really cool to see everything. There was a rainbow over the ocean. I'm excited to come back and explore this a bit more when we have our own van, just so that we aren't on a time crunch to see different things, but it was really, really pretty. And it was rainy, but also sunny, and the rainbow followed us all morning. It was also super windy. I found some sea glass, and then we headed on our way. The rainbow was still following us like 2 hours into our morning. And then the next place we went was for lunch in this bar where you kind of ordered ahead from like 4 options. And then we saw this throne from Game of Thrones.
The two giants had a dispute about their fighting ability, and Finn McCool lifting up a rock, throwing it across the sea to Scotland, challenging Ben and Donna.
While it wasn't a Game of Thrones tour specifically, we did go past a lot of Game of Thrones locations, so we learned about some of those. This was the main attraction of everything, which was Giant's Causeway, so we had the longest amount of time to walk around and explore here. Super windy yet again, but also totally pretty and gorgeous. This is us just walking around and exploring it, and just thinking about how we can't wait to come back and look at it without the stress of thinking that we're going to miss the bus because they said they would leave us behind. These rocks were really scary because it was so windy that you already felt like you were going to get blown over, but then these were also slippery. But that didn't stop me from climbing all the way to the top because I can't come here and not do that. Also, if you've seen my photo from here, yeah, I did Photoshop out that guy in the yellow vest because why would I not? And then we just walked around a bit more, and there was a couple more stops coming up on the tour. So we said our goodbye for now to Giant's Causeway. The next time we come here, there'll be a little cove walking around all of these stones. We saw this castle, but there wasn't enough time for us to go inside of it, but apparently you can. So we'll definitely be hitting that up also the next time that we come on to this area with our van. And then we boarded the bus, and we went and got a coffee at the pantry, which is at the Hedges, which is also another spot from Game of Thrones. I think this would be really, really cool if there were no people walking under it. It would just be really cinematic. So I'm excited to see that maybe on a day when it's empty. And then we left our Airbnb for the last time, and we headed into Belfast City just to get some drinks and things before we leave Northern Ireland altogether. On the way to a pub that we both wanted to see, we went past the Botanical Gardens and the Queen's College campus. This is inside of the college. And then from there, we walked towards the Crown, which is probably the most quintessential pub to go to in Belfast because it's just so pretty and ornate. I got my last Guinness before leaving Northern Ireland, which is I think the only place where it counts. And we had some mussels, my first mussels. Josh loved them. He got a beer, and he also got a hot chocolate. I think he might be the first person to ever order a hot chocolate here. I think they were a bit confused when he asked for it, but he can't give up his Cadbury, so he had that. And then we had our final toast, and we headed to the airport. Next up, we're gonna go spend like one night in London and then head to Cornwall. See you then. Bye.